So today we are going to be working the Friday vest. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and in this video today we're going to be working the Friday vest. So I actually made this pattern about 2 months ago now, a month and a bit ago, and I realized I didn't have a video for it, and I did have some people asking questions about how to do certain things, but I thought a video would be really helpful for anyone wanting to make this vest. It's pretty easy, but I don't want to make those assumptions, because sometimes something that I think is easy might not be so easy for someone else. But it is worked top down, so you start at the top and then obviously you work your way down. And also I won't be working this exact one. This is one I worked up when I was first working up the sample, so the next one is a bit different. I'm using scrap yarns that I had that I wanted to use up, and this was the perfect pattern to do that. So if you guys have any scrap yarns that you wanted to make something with, I think this is like the really perfect thing to make with it. So it is quite a quick knit as well. It took me about 10 hours, but I was also trying to figure out colorways. Having said that, this video won't be showing you how to do the colors. It was just me making it up on the spot, but I know a lot of people out there are much more talented at doing that sort of stuff, so you can go ahead and do that if you want, or you can make it one color block like I have here. Like I said, it's a quick knit, takes about 10 hours. So that's all the Twilight movies, if you want to sit down and watch all of Twilight and make this up if you wanted. Like, as an example, you know, I've only seen Twilight once this year. So we'll just get straight into it now, and I will see you in the voiceover. Hey guys, not the voiceover, but I did realize that after editing this video that I forgot to mention to purchase the pattern down below. It is available on my Etsy or Ravelry, whichever you prefer. Yeah, that's it. So you'll need the pattern as well as all the other stuff that I will mention now. Now to the voiceover. Hey guys, so to get started you want to choose your yarn, any chunky super bulky yarn that you have, and you also need a stitch marker and a yarn needle, and I'm just using my 12mm needles here. So you can use any cast on you want. So I just used the long tail cast on just because it was like, it's my default, just what I go to usually. So when you start working, you're working on the back piece first, and you work this flat along with the fronts, and then you join it later on. And then you just work your piece up to the length that it states in the pattern. And I use my handy ruler there. And then when you have to start increasing for the underarms, I'll show you how to do that here. So you work your stitches, and then you pick up from the back there, the loop between the stitches, or the horizontal bar between stitches, you pick up from the back and then you knit through the front. So you get to before the last 2 stitches, and then you pick up the bar between stitches again, and this time you're making one left. And so you pick it up from the front and then you knit through the back loop. Like so. So from here you continue working those increases as stated in the written pattern, and it should look a little something like this. So you break your yarn, or you cut your yarn, and I'm just putting the stitches, I'm just going to leave them on the cable needle because I've got some interchangeable needles, but it does stay in the pattern that you can put it on waste yarn, completely up to you. I'm just being lazy and I'm going to keep it on the cable needle. Now we're going to pick up for the fronts. The fronts are picked up from the cast on edge there. So we're going to start with the right side, and then you just pick up the number of stitches as stated in your pattern for your size. So when you get to the increase rows, I'm going to show you how to do that. So on the right side you make an increase left, and it's the same as what we did for the underarms. So you work to your stitches and then you pick up that bar between from the front, and then you knit it through the back loop. And then from here you just continue working on until you've worked the right front part like that. And then you place those stitches on a stitch holder. And now we're going to work the left front, and instead of starting from the corner, you count in your stitches that you need, and it'll be the same amount as the right side, and then from there you just pick up and, whoops, I just counted it wrong I think. Yeah, we just pick up and then you work it very similar to the right side. I hope I'm saying that right. Right and left. Yes, that's right. That's the left side. So this is the increase row, and to do that you work your stitches and you make one right. So you pick up the bar from the back and then you knit through the front loop there. And then you just continue working until you've reached the length that you need. So those two fronts are done now. We're going to join them. So I'll work across the left part, and then when that's done I will just cast on the stitches that I need for my size, and you'll be able to see that in the written pattern. And I just use a backwards loop method. It's just a lot easier. And then you just keep working across to the right part and you join the stitches up. And then once you've done that, you just keep working down the front to the length that you need, which is usually the same as the back. And the increases for the armholes will be the same as well. And you can see I'm sort of trying to do like a colour thing there. I don't know. So now we're going to join the front part to the back part. So all I'm doing here is I'm working across the front stitches. And then I cast on the amount of stitches I need, and I'll use the backwards loop method again. And then I will join it to the back part here. And you just keep working around the back. And I'll just sort of skip ahead there. And all I'm doing is I'm moving my needles around because I was holding my stitches on the cable, so I just needed to move my needles and join them to the cable that I'm using now. And then I cast on the stitch I need, place my stitch marker, and then I'll cast on whatever amount of stitches I need left over, and that'll all be in your written pattern. And then from here you just keep working in the round. And in the pattern it does say to keep working the round to desired length, but I actually prefer to work the neckline before I continue on with the body, just because I like to see the overall look. This is mostly a designer thing, just because I can see if things work out. So if you want to continue to work the body, you can keep doing that and then come back to this part. But I'm going to show you how you do the neckline now. So I know in the pattern it does say to start from like the corner, but I decided to start from the middle back. So this is the back part of your piece. I'll make those changes in the pattern, I think, so anyone purchasing the pattern after will see it written like that. And then you just pick up your stitches around the neckline like so, and I like to take my time with it to make sure I'm picking up the right amount of stitches, and also to make sure that it looks even, like I'm picking up in the right spot. You want to keep picking up from the same line of stitches, like you don't want to pick up from like another, like one stitch up or down, if that sort of makes sense, because it'll be quite obvious in the final result, especially if you're working with different colors. So I'm just near the end here, and then after you've picked up the amount of stitches that you need, I'm going to place my stitch marker and then just work in the round. So in my original pattern it actually does say that you work around and then you seam it down. But after I worked this up, I actually really liked the look of the higher collar. And so spoiler alert, I decided to keep it higher. So originally I would seam that down. You can try it on and see if you like it or not. But if you do want to make it seamed in, I show you that as well. And I've got it in my timestamp below. You can skip to it if you want. So then I continue working the body down, and then I like to try on my piece and see if it fits or not, and if it's the length that I want. And I try and keep that customizable within my patterns as well, is just trying it on and seeing how you like it. Some people might like it longer, some shorter. So I like to try things on myself and see how it fits, because I have a much longer torso. I think this will look really cute cropped as well. I think that might be next on my agenda, is making a cropped version of this. But now I'm working the hemline. So all you do is just work around. The full written details are in the pattern, but it's just a 1x1 rib. You can do it as long or as short as you want. Mine says like 4 rows, but you can do it longer if you want, especially with like a higher collar. So
in the pattern it does say use like a 1x1 bind off, but I might change that to be a bit more specific. So I'll show you guys how to do it here if you wanted, but I will also include a link for you in the pattern and you can follow that as well if this is too confusing. But this will be a quick tutorial here. So to start, you want to cut off yarn that will leave you enough to seam. I just really guessed it. I wrapped it loosely around my hem like 3 times and that ended up being enough. So to start, you have your first stand-up stitches and then you have the pattern. So you place your needle through the first stitch purlwise, put your needle through the back between the stitches, you put it between the stitches and then pull it through, and then put your needle knitwise into that second stitch on your needle, like that. And this is your setup for the beginning and you won't really have to set up again. So the pattern starts now. So you want to slip your needle knitwise into the first stitch, and then take that off. And then you want to put your needle purlwise into the second stitch and then pull your yarn through. And then you'll put your needle purlwise into that first stitch and then take this stitch off the needle. And then you want to bring your needle around the back there and put it between the stitches and pull your yarn through. And then put it knitwise into that second stitch there. And that's your repeat. And then you just continue that until the end of your round, and then I'll show you how to bind off. So we're at the last 2 stitches and I'm just finishing up the last part of my last pattern. So I'm going to take that first stitch off knitwise, and then you want to place your next stitch purlwise through the leg closest on the next stitch. And then put your needle in purlwise on that last stitch, and that comes off the needle. And then put it in knitwise in the other leg of that knit stitch. And then you just weave in the ends, which I do now. So that's pretty much it, and it creates quite a stretchy little bind off there, and it makes it look really, really neat, which I love. So now we're going to do the arms next, and this will require a crochet hook if you don't have one. So I grab my crochet hook and I pop it into the first stitch, and I always start at the underarm as well. Pop it into the first stitch, and using the yarn color that you want, I'm just going to be fast forwarding this a little bit because I fiddled around because I have not crocheted for a very long time. There I go. and then you just work a single crochet into all of your stitches. So my first stitch was just a slip stitch through, and then you just work into your stitches as determined in the written pattern until the end. The next few seconds are really just me struggling to use a crochet hook because I'm just not used to it. And then that'll sort of be what it looks like as well at the end. Is like a really neat little braid, and then that's it. And then you just do the other side the same. So onto the neckline. So this is the seamed neckline, and I think it's really cute. It creates like a really nice retro sort of feel. I really just couldn't figure out whether or not I wanted to keep it high or low, so I went on Instagram and asked you guys what you thought, and a lot of you liked it higher, so I decided I've got one that's already seamed, so I'll do this one with a higher neck. So here I'm going to show you how to do it with, if you want to seam it in. So you just slip the first stitch knitwise, and then you just seam it into that first little ridge there, and you keep doing that around, and don't pull too tightly either, because then your stitches, it won't fit over your head, the neckline. So when you seam it loosely. So you just continue that around, and I won't do it now because I'm going to do the cast off for a higher neck. And this high neck isn't in my old pattern, but I will make that change as well. So we're going to seam off exactly like the hemline. It's just the tubular bind off. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do it here as well for you guys who skipped ahead and decided to work the neckline first. And this is your setup. So you pop your needle into the first stitch purlwise. And then you bring your needle around the back and then put it between two stitches, pull your yarn through, and then pop it in that second stitch knitwise. And then bring your needle knitwise into the first stitch and take that stitch off your needle. So now you put your needle purlwise into that second stitch, pull your yarn through, place it purlwise into the first stitch, and then take that stitch off the needle and pull it through, and then put your yarn between the two stitches around from the back, and then pop it in knitwise through that second stitch. And that's pretty much the pattern. So I'll do it again for you guys. So you do it knitwise off, purlwise through the second stitch, purlwise through the first stitch again, and you slip that stitch off the needle, bring your needle through the back and between stitches, pull your yarn through, and then knitwise through that second stitch there. That's pretty much it, and you keep going around to the end, and then here I'm on the last two stitches, so I'm just going to finish up the end of that of the pattern. So now we'll slip that first stitch off knitwise, and then you want to go purlwise through the first leg of that knit stitch there. I don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm just showing you. Yep, go through that. And then purlwise off of that stitch. And then you just go knitwise into the other leg. Of that knit stitch. Like so. And then that's pretty much it. And then if you've done colorways like me, you seam in all the ends, which is the absolute worst because I hate seaming in ends, to be honest. But this is the final result here, and I'm actually quite happy with it. I made this one in a size small, which is a bit big for me. But overall, I'm quite happy with how the colors turned out. But I think I do prefer a more fitted look like this one here. Yeah, so you guys can obviously choose what you want. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it helps you make your pattern. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks.